Marilyn Marie Downing, Des Moines, Iowa. Oh, every time the power goes out. Every time the power goes out, it's went out from a couple hours to 3.5 days during an ice storm. And every time it goes out, I said, I wish I had a generator. And 2 months ago, neighbor's tree fell over on a power line. It was out power 12 hours. And I said, this time I'm getting a generator. So I said that was the last straw, that I want a generator so I would have power. And not only that, lately kind of worried about what's happening in the world. And if the power grid goes out, I wanted to be hooked up to a gas line so I would have power, so I could still be running. So, for those two reasons, and I've always thought about getting a generator, just this time I acted on it. I got online, Google generators, and a lot of stuff popped up. So I spent a day going through different websites and, checking things out. And I found one that had been in business for like over 30 years. So I didn't know which generator to order or what size to get or, what I wanted. So I called them and I talked to the guy, and we spent a good 45 minutes to an hour on the phone going through the different size generators, what I needed, and the cost, and what I want to know what type of generator I should get, what was the best buy for me. And he recommended Generac. And I said, well, I don't want one that I have to pull start, put propane in, or use a key start. I wanted to automatically power up. And he asked if I had natural gas line, and I told him yes. And he said, well, they could just hook right into your natural gas line. He said, no problem. And I said, well, that would be perfect. I said, if my power went out, he said, then this would automatically kick on and I would have no problem. So, I didn't buy one right then and there. I wanted to check with my electrical contractor first. So next I called my electrical contractor, who I've known for, 40 years. In fact, he was a neighbor when I first moved in here. And he started doing work for me about 30 years ago, and did put in my central air, my furnace, receptacle switches. Never had a problem with anything. I trusted his work and wouldn't call anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I told him I was planning on getting a generator, and I said Generac was recommended. And he said, that's a good generator. He said, that's what I would recommend. He said, I've installed them before. And he said the size you would need for your house to power the essentials, like your furnace, your refrigerator, TV, lights, and things like that, he said would be a 7 kW. He said, but it wouldn't run my central air. No. Okay. He told me it'd be around $1,000 for installation. And I thought, well, good, because actually the generator was more money than I thought it would be. I was thinking I could buy a generator for $1,000. Well, I can't buy one for $1,000. Right. So I was kind of shocked at the price, but yet I was committed this time to actually getting one because I'd wanted one for so long. Well, my son wanted central air if the power went out. He said he didn't want to be with, 100 degrees out and be without central air. He says, as long as we're getting one. And actually, there was only like $500 difference from a 5 to a 7 and $500 from a 7 to 11. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't that much. And I talked to my electrical contractor about it because we went back and forth. I went back and forth from the website, who I was talking to my electrical contractor 2 or 3 different times. Then I told my electrical contractor I was going to get 11 kW because I wanted to run the central air. And he said, does it come with the transfer switch? And I said, yes, it comes with everything. I said, the guy told me everything to be installed, that it would come with the transfer switch and the startup battery, and I wouldn't need anything else. And he said that any electrical contractor, would be able to install it. So, and my electrical contractor was a friend. I trusted him, so I've never had any problems with his work before. So, okay, I'm going to get 11 kW. I'm going to go for it. No. Yeah, I didn't, I was told that's what I needed. I mean, I wasn't told that there was anything else, but I told the guy I wanted to run just my furnace, my refrigerator, my TV, the lights, and then with the 11, the central air. So I told him I didn't want to run the whole house. I didn't need all my lights. I didn't need the basement. I didn't need the garage. So I had told him I wanted, different rooms, just, the basics actually. I don't know, to tell you the truth. He didn't tell me anything, really. My son was downstairs when they hooked up the generator and the gas line, and he just ran it from the furnace out, so I didn't think anything of it, I figured he knew what he was doing. In fact, it dawns on me now, I should have, it should have put up a flag. The day before he came out to install it, he sent one of his workers out to get the installation book. He said he wanted to take it home and study it. And I didn't think anything of it. I said, sure, But now that I think back, why would he need to study it? He told me he'd installed Generacs before. So that should have sent up a red flag, but I trusted him, I figured, okay, he just wanted to read over. He was here all day long. He was here, I'd say a good 7-8 hours. Well, he started up. I know the power, I was up here, my son was downstairs. Well, he said he was going to start it up. He said, he's going to start it up. Power went out 2 or 3 different times, and he'd run outside, run back inside, run outside, run back inside. And then all of a sudden I started smelling something like wires burning, and then something blew. I thought, what is going on? And come to find out, the coil blew up. And he told me, well, Generac sent you out a bad coil. He said, you're going to have to get a hold of Generac and have them send out another coil because this one was bad. I didn't think anything of it, so within a couple days, Generac had sent out a new one. Electrical contractor came back out to install it. He was here about 10 minutes. And he looked at me, he says, you're going to have to call Generac. He said, I don't know what's wrong with it. He more or less gave up at that point. Wow, what do I do now? Yeah, he said, you're going to have to take care of it yourself. And I thought, well, who do I call? What do I do? He gave me a phone number to call. He says, call and get something set up. He says, I don't know what's wrong with it. He says, there's something wrong with the generator. And at that point, I thought, they sent me a bad generator. Why me? Why did I get the bad generator? So that's what I thought at that point, that I got sent a bad generator. And I was pretty pissed off, at Generac actually for sending me a bad generator. There was nothing else I could think. That's what I was told. And he said, you're going to have to get a hold of Generac. He says, it's warranty now. Actually, I called, he gave me the phone number. It was AES. I called them, and then I was given your phone number, and that's how I ended up getting a hold of you. Well, it was actually pretty nice. I mean, I got somebody out here right away, and then the technician that came out here looked at what was done, and he goes, oh my God. He said, this is all wrong. He told me the gas line was hooked up wrong. No, not my electrical contractor. He didn't contact anybody. He went right from the furnace to the generator. He didn't, no. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. And I didn't think anything of it. I figured he knew what he was doing. Oh my God. Well, let me tell you this. The only thing that was done right was it was put the right distance away from the house, the generator. That's the only thing that was done right. Everything was wrong from the gas line hookup, not only from the hookup to the furnace, which was wrong in the first place to do it that way. He didn't even hook it up right into the generator. And then the wiring was all wrong. He had did all the wiring wrong. I mean, there wasn't not one thing that he had did right. And I mean, I was just astounded. I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my God. And then at that point, in fact, I was told, Generac, that if something had went wrong with it, that the warranty wouldn't be in effect because it was hooked up wrong. So what could I do? I mean, the generator wasn't working.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do. So I had to have Generac fix it. And they had to rewire the whole thing. They contacted the gas company to have them come out and do what they needed to do, check the load or something like that. And they had to rewire the whole thing. Redo the gas line, rewire the whole thing. Everything had to be redone, pulled out and redone. I seen them pull all the wiring out, put brand new wiring in, run a whole new gas line. Well, yeah. I was told the way the gas line was hooked up and the straps they had used, I could be at risk for fire, and even they had kinked the gas line and I could have had an explosion. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe that he did that to me. I mean, the contractor that I trusted, who said he had installed several of them before, the Generac brand, and knew what he was doing. So I've had a good experience with Generac. They fixed everything. Of course, I've had to pay for everything. I mean, they've had to redo everything. So I had to pay to have the whole thing pulled out and rewired and redone. So the generator actually has almost cost me double what it would have if I had, went and bought direct from Generac and had their technicians install it. I've almost paid double now because of thinking I could get $1,000 to get it installed by my electrical contractor. Oh yeah. I have the utmost confidence. I mean, you guys knew what you were doing. And I'm just so happy that it's all done and that I have a generator now. Cost me a little bit more than I wanted. And, the experience was not great at the start, having the coil blow up, and being told that I had a bad generator, which was not. It was his wiring that had blown it up. It wasn't a bad coil from the factory. The generator, there was nothing wrong with the generator. It was all his wiring. There was no way it was going to run the way he had it wired up. So no wonder he couldn't get it going. I mean, everything was wrong. I mean, and he'd even taken the book home to study it overnight. I mean, and still couldn't do it right. So you got to have a Generac technician who has been trained to install the generators. You got to have them do it. You're not going to get it done for $1,000. Don't think you're going to get it done for $1,000 because you're not. You're going to end up paying a lot more to get it redone the right way.